Yeah, first just want to recap our win versus Mississippi State. I was really, really proud after watching the tape of our effort and mental toughness really in all three phases. Thought our guys really played extremely hard with great energy and effort. You know, defensively to have 2 defensive touchdowns in a game was awesome and obviously blew the game wide open for us. The 7-play goal line stand in the second quarter after the turnover, which then led to the missed or muffed field goal return, which ultimately led to another touchdown, I think was really cool and just really awesome the way that our defense played right there. I thought Dayton Hopkins having to come in for Nate Johnson after a targeting injury, really pleased with his performance. Chris McClellan with the early sack. Darius Smith, I thought, rushed the passer extremely well. Marvin Burks had 12 tackles on the game on top of the interception return for a fumble. So really, really pleased with the way our defense played. Special teams, you know, we had 2 I-20s on kickoff. We talk about tough teams stop the run the football, and cover kicks. And obviously the big field goal block return was huge for our momentum. You know, offensively to establish and maintain the run game the way we did, watching it on tape, our wide receivers really did an excellent job blocking downfield. I thought Donovan and Josh Manning had incredible blocks and effort on the 2 long runs, and the way they responded to the turnovers. You know, they responded both times after the turnovers, which was really good. Now there's plenty of things to correct. Obviously, defensively, penalties to extend drives. The second drive of the game had multiple penalties, which really aided their scoring opportunities. You know, offensively, the turnovers are absolutely killers, and we have to take that off the tape. We have to absolutely take that off the tape, especially going against a really good OU football team. You know, I think Coach Venables is to be commended. I think he's doing an outstanding job. Obviously, him taking over the defensive side of the ball and calling the defense, you can tell his aggressive nature and style is on display. They do a really good job of playing team football, utilizing both special teams, offense, and defense to win games. Obviously, the 6 turnovers in the last 2 games have been an incredible reason for their success. Their field goal kickers' accuracy and yardage is important. And then obviously, I think on offense, their quarterback, their offensive identity with their offensive coordinator, is certainly something that's going to be extremely challenging. You know, it's been 59 years since the University of Missouri went on the road to Norman, Oklahoma and won a game. So, you know, that's something that's going to be a challenging in and of itself. Our team has a lot of things to work on this week, and ultimately it's about how we handle the noise, the environment, taking care of the football, and being able to defend their quarterback that will determine our success. You know, 2 things I want to address real quick just before we get going. Number 1, job rumors. You know, I'm not going to comment on message board chatters, tweets, sources. You know, I've maintained with you and our team that my complete focus is on the task at hand. You know, last week, people were tired of me because I couldn't win the big game. People had me meeting with my team and telling them that I was going to another school, none of which were true. Now this week it's a different story because we scored the 2nd most points in the SEC this year at 49. So, you know, all of this stuff is just a distraction. You know, I would like to remind everybody, including our fans, we absolutely love Mizzou. We love what we're building. We've been to 6 straight bowl games. We've got the sellout streak going. Our administration has been nothing but phenomenal to me. The alignment that we have with our president, President Choi, his support for our program, his support in what we're trying to build. Todd Graves, the head of the Board of Curators, has been tremendous since he started on the board and is always looking for ways to improve our athletic department. Bob Blitz has been a guy that was instrumental in rebuilding the north end zone and being on the forefront of the athletics committee. Laird Beach has been great to work with on a day-to-day basis. You know, since I've been here, I've signed multiple extensions. In fact, I signed one this past summer. So all the speculation is really a tribute to them, and it's a tribute to our team's success and their commitment to our team. And that's where my focus is going to remain on our team and our current situation, and I'm not going to get into all that stuff because, again, it's just a distraction. 2, I know there were some questions about Bo Pribula. Bo Pribula is currently working through his rehab process. And with the oversight of the doctors and the training staff, we're going through a protocol. He has been allowed to practice with certain limitations, which is why he appeared on the SEC availability report last week and why you saw him on Saturday in pregame warm-up. We will see how he progresses this week, and you will be updated on the SEC media report, or by apparently now Matt Zenitz or Pete Thamel's tweets. So with that, I will now open it up for y'all's questions.
Eli,
lay it on me, Gabe.
Eli, since you kind of brought it up,
Since I kind of brought it up,
the comments on the broadcast in relation to the businesses and support.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that? And do you feel like that the appropriate financial support is here for you to go where you want this program to go?
Yeah, I'm honestly just loosely aware of what exactly was commented. I know in our pre-production meeting on Friday, they were asking about our NIL, and I said one area that I think we can improve is the utilization of our Fortune 500 companies in the state. We have 11 Fortune 500 companies in the state, which is fourth largest among the SEC footprint. And we've got to continue to develop the relationships with those companies and get those companies to invest in our athletes. And whether we're talking about football, basketball, women's basketball, softball, women's soccer, wrestling, volleyball, baseball, we need their support. We are the institution of this state, and we provide those companies with a lot of workers. And so it would be awesome if we got to see some reciprocal investments in that. I don't think that's an unusual ask or an unusual request. This is all new. I'm not assigning blame to anybody or not pointing fingers at any Fortune 500 company. I'm just asking, if you're a Mizzou grad in that company and you're in charge of marketing, we would love to join in with some NIL opportunities for our student athletes, because that's the forefront. The number one way to get through the it's not the CSC, it's what called NIL Go, is Fortune 500 company. If a Fortune 500 company does an NIL contract with a student athlete, it's automatically guaranteed to go through. It's approved because of the fiduciary responsibility that Fortune 500 company has to its shareholders. So, if we want to get more and more opportunities for our student athletes, then that's something that we need to lean into. And so I'm always going to be pushing and trying to create whatever advantages we can for the University of Missouri in the NIL space.
Coach, how necessary is that to compete and keep pushing towards the top of the SEC?
I mean, you want better results? You got to get better players, and we got great players right now, but you can always use more. And in order to keep the current players that we have, I saw on Twitter somebody said we got to keep Donovan and Matt. Well, that's wishful thinking. You got to offer them the same amount of money that other people are, and that's the reality. I mean, there's teams that we're playing with, larger NIL budgets than we have. Doesn't mean that we're not doing the absolute best we can. Doesn't mean that we haven't put together a really, really good football team, and there's a lot of people helping us, but more is still more. And until there's a cap on it, I mean, don't we want every advantage that we can possibly get? So, again, not complaining, not pointing out issues, just pointing out what the playing field is that we're in. There's teams that have unlimited support as far as NIL goes, and we want to beat those teams. I've been told I can't beat those teams, so.
Eli, just related to that too, it seems like you were pretty alert to how all this was going to change the very, dynamics of the sport and college sports in general pretty fast. What made you embrace these thoughts so quickly? Several years ago, I mean. Yeah.
Well, I think ever since I've been here, adaptability has been the number one key. I mean, we started with COVID, then we got the transfer portal, then we got NIL, and I think anytime you're a program looking to keep climbing, you got to look for opportunities. And in the sport, I think we've done a really good job of taking advantage of the NIL and transfer opportunities. And I think there's a misconception that I think we've done a really good job of utilizing NIL. I think there's a misconception that we're one of the bigger spenders in NIL. I don't think that's true. I think we're very good at what we do. I think we've been very wise in our investments, but we're not frivolous. and there's certainly not unlimited funds, and there's certainly not, I mean, we weren't in the top 10 of spenders last year, right, when they put out the list. So I just think there's a misconception that there's more than there probably is.
Coach, when it comes to changing that, just logistically, how fast is it possible to get that turned around? How fast is it possible to attract these bigger companies that you're talking about and get them more invested?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's probably as fast as them sending an email saying they want to do a NIL deal with one of our agents, or contacting Brad Larondo, who heads our marketing firm, or getting with Blair DeBoer, or getting with Eric Morrison, who's heading up our third-party NIL, or getting with our Learfield and our MSR, is that what we call it? MMR team. I mean, any of those ways are possible. It's just people got to be adamant about doing it, you know. And I think about this, like, you know, there's a lot of really, really good players from Missouri that are playing at other places. And I would love for them to play here, but that's not free. And so how do we get them here? I got to do a better job of recruiting them, but I also got to do a better job of raising money so that I can offer them a competitive package that the other schools are offering. And you know, that's part of it. If we want to build a championship team, I got to continue to build a championship roster. And you know, I spoke about this last week at the radio show. The next jump is going to be the hardest jump. From going from good to great is the hardest jump possible. And you know, I got to lean into it as the leader of this organization to what it's going to take. And what it's going to take is pushing harder than I pushed to get to this point. And so I gotta be ready to do that, and that's what our challenge is. So, you know, how quickly, I don't know, but the quicker the better. We're going to 9 SEC games. It ain't getting easier.
You made mention of not winning in Norman since 1966. How is that of use to you this week with the team, and what do you say with that?
Just say that's our past history. It doesn't have to be our future history, but you know, I think it reminds our guys that this is not a normal road trip, that this is not a normal road environment, that this is a championship brand that has a history of success, and we haven't had the history of success at that place. So we're going to have to really lock in, increase our focus, make sure our preparation is really top notch, and you know, there's no assurances of result. So got a lot of work to do in Toughness Tuesday and Winning Wednesday and Thorough Thursday to make sure our preparation matches what our expectations are.
In the middle here. Eli, with John Mateer, just what have your thoughts been on how he's performed this year and how they've built that offense around him?
Yeah, John Mateer is a really special quarterback. You can tell he's got incredible leadership to him, the way that team has really rallied around him. Incredible toughness to play through that injury, I think, has been very commendable for him. I think, you know, obviously he has a level of experience with the offensive coordinator, and so you know, you can tell he's done a really good job of developing rapport with his wide receivers and getting those guys on the same page. They've faced a little bit of injuries, I think, with their offensive line, which has caused a little bit of lack of sync, I think, offensively. But I mean, they do a really good job of knowing what they need to do in order to win football games, and that's what they're doing. So they've got their right formula, and you know, he can make game-winning plays at any moment, and that's ultimately what you want in a quarterback.
Back to now.
Yeah, Ahmad told us after the game he really put a focus on not just running through guys, but using his speed to kind of blow past them. How have you kind of seen his running style develop over the year?
Yeah, you know, I think his running style has actually been very consistent. He obviously runs through the first tackle. I think on the key plays that he had, you know, for the long runs, the commonality was, and I showed this to the team yesterday on the one run in the third quarter, that we started the play started on the 28-yard line, and by the time Ahmad had made his cut, our entire offensive line and tight ends had pushed their line past the 30. So there was no penetration, you know, and now it was just a wall, and he was able to bend it out the back to the front side and take off. Obviously, he's got incredible speed, and then the key was the block by Donovan down the field to keep the corner out of it, which was, you know, Kevin ran an out route. They were in man. Kevin ran an out route to take the safety away, and then Donovan ran a 9 ball, a 9 route, and then pinned the upfield shoulder. So I think it was a combination of great blocking and then Ahmad using his God-given ability. I see where he, goes. I guess he was probably pretty sore on Sunday, so he went and rode his horse, to try to get work some of that soreness out. So maybe that's a secret sauce we should use in the future.
You mentioned Oklahoma's ability to create turnovers. What have you seen from their defense, especially these past 2 games, that have led to so much success in that area?
Yeah, being familiar with Coach Venable's defenses at our time at NC State going against him, they've always been very multiple, very aggressive. They do a great job of taking away what your strengths are and trying to get you to play left-handed. And this defense is no different. They've got elite players, elite defensive ends. I think both the R. Mason Thomas obviously is an exceptional player, and they haven't had him. They didn't have him last game, but Taylor Wynn, number 44, jumps off the tape the way he plays. Kendall Daniels, the transfer from Okie State, is a tremendous player. Robert Spears Jennings at safety and Boganowski are like heat-seeking missiles looking for contact. So I think it matches their style. Coach Venables always talks about having a 4th and 1 mentality. It feels like their defense matches that intensity at all times. So it's a tough challenge. I think their defensive line, obviously with the emergence of David Stone, has been really critical for them. They're better in the trenches, I think, than they've been in the past, and specifically because of R. Mason, Taylor, and David.
Cody? You mentioned Bo going through a protocol. Is it your guys' decision, or is it a doctor's decision in terms of his availability this week? Or
that's a great question. I think we'll probably huddle as a group and make a call. The very first thing and the most important thing is the student athlete's health and well-being. And playing against an elite defense, you don't want to put somebody out there who can't compete at the highest level. And knowing how aggressive and attacking they are, it would be a detriment to our team and to Bo, to put him out there if he's not able to play up to his level. And so, we'll circle with him first and make sure his mental processes are where it needs to be. And that's if he clears the protocol, which would be the doctors and the trainers. We'll circle with him, and then obviously he'll have to circle with his circle. So there'll be a lot of circles.
Coach, you already talked about the defense a little bit, but at least in run defense, I don't think Oklahoma's allowed 150 rushing yards in a single game this year. What do they do well to stop the run?
They rally to the ball. They cut gaps. They overlap the defense. They blitz. They got it all. Whatever you can play on Madden or college football to stop the run, they have it in their game plan, and he's not afraid to call it at any point. I mean, he'll play 0 and on 1st and 10. He'll interior twist the D line. He'll play 2 trap to the field. He's got it all. So does an excellent job of calling it, knowing when to call it, and really, really good defensive coordinator, really good defensive staff. Their safeties coach, Brandon Hall, is a great friend of mine, somebody I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Worked together at Arkansas State, and know that he's a tremendous coach. So knowing the quality of people that Coach BV has, it doesn't surprise me that they're that good on defense.
2 more, Gabe.
Whenever Bo's back, whether it's this week or down the road, is he your starter? How do you handle that?
Well, again, Matt Zenitz and Pete will probably be the first to tell y'all. Bo is our starter. Yeah, Bo is our starting quarterback. Matt Zollers has been awesome, and Matt is currently our starting quarterback. But yeah, I don't. We don't have a Drew Bledsoe, Tom Brady thing here brewing yet. So, but I've been very, very impressed with Matt Zollers. I thought he played a heck of a game. I told him yesterday, man, of the 15 passes, I mean, you were just like this. It was awesome. We had 2 touchdowns early, then interception, 2 intentional groundings, and you just kind of eased your way back into finding it. So, but the thing I was the most impressed with Matt was the moment was never too big for him. I mean, he had a plan. He executed his plan. He got a game ball after the game. He addressed the team. I think he understands the situation with Bo. I think they've got a great relationship. I know that Matt is going to have an excellent week preparing. I know that Matt will be prepared to go on the road and play this game, and that's my anticipation going into it, is that Matt will be our starting quarterback this week. And if something changes, like I said, log on to Twitter and get your news there first.
What do we do if it's down like this morning?
Wait till Lane goes on McAfee.
We'll finish up here in the middle of it.
Just what popped up with Landon, and then what specifically did you like about Dayton's performance filling in?
Yeah, Langdon got dinged up in the latter part of the A&M game, and so we were just going through the protocol. He cleared protocol on Saturday, so we anticipate that he will be ready to go this week. And then obviously Nate got the targeting penalty on the second drive, and Dayton Hopkins I thought played really, really well. He's a guy that's really benefited from his time with the show team, but also his time. We bring him up every Wednesday for third downs, and brought him up last week because we knew Langdon was dinged up, and he really loves his craft. He works on his craft. He's got a really bright future. We're going to do our best to save his red shirt. That was his fourth game to participate in. Javion has one more, so this week we'll do our best to save Dayton. Javion would be our fifth defensive end in the game. And so we'll do our best not to have to, or sixth, we'll do our best not to utilize either one of those guys' red shirts.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Yep, MIZ.